Good morning. I bring you greetings from Lagos, Nigeria. It's a rainy day here in Lagos, but it's important that the show doesn't stop. So today we're going to be talking about a circular that was released by the CBN on the 5th of July. It's a draft circular. I have my laptop right beside me just so that I don't miss the salient points as per usual. And essentially, it's the exposure drafts of the guidelines for digital financial services awareness. So when we say digital financial services, we know that this refers to technology-backed products, and these are products that are provided by deposit money banks, financial institutions generally, payment service banks, institutions in the payment service industry, just generally financial institutions that are regulated by the CBN that provide digital financial products. So if we know one of the major goals in our economy or by the Central Bank of Nigeria is to ensure financial inclusion of the underserved or the underbanked, those who are not literate, those who don't speak English, those in the rural areas. And so this exposure drafts notes that since coronavirus, there's been more interest even by these underbanked in digital products. So they need to be protected. We need to ensure that digital financial services, essentially DFSs, are structured in such a way that even the underbanked can easily use them. And this is essentially what this framework does. It came up with 6 different principles that we're going to just quickly talk about one by one. So just to note the objectives for which they say the guidelines are for. So the guidelines are essentially to set digital financial literacy standards for digital financial service providers, to ensure that the product development is aligned with awareness, enhance transparency and proper disclosure, ensure evidence-driven approach to the creation of products, also ensure that there are financial education programs. This is really embedded in this guideline. So now, like I said, it works with 6 different principles. The first principle is that digital financial service providers must ensure awareness and education. To do this, they must ensure that there are different initiatives that they use to educate the customer. So an example is that they have to use SMSs and USSD to send instructions. You need to understand that the underbanked are able to differentiate between these digital service-backed products and normal banking services. They need to be able to differentiate that. They need to ensure that they provide information in different languages, in simple English and in local languages. That's actually the wording of the regulation. They also need to know that they develop educational materials, and they release this to the public after the CBN has approved such materials. They deliver educational materials to prospective and existing customers through basic channels, provide information on product usage, and how to obtain support services when the need arises. Now, the second thing is about disclosure and transparency. So essentially, there must be disclosure, transparency, and user privacy upon service adoption. So this products must disclose all associated charges. There must be no hidden charges whatsoever. Charges must be disclosed before the products are signed up to. They must also be opt-out. It's usually very difficult to opt out of financial services, but the products must be designed in such a way that their first instinct is opt-out and not opt-in. So that's also very important. So there must be data protection services that are embedded into this product. Now, the third is product usability and market testing. So what the CBN says here is that before a product goes to market, it must be tested by the targeted audience. It must fit the requirements of the targeted audience, and then it must also be a period for recalibration, for retesting, and then a period to ensure that the malfunctions that have been observed are also enforced. The next thing is fraud prevention and risk management. So what CBN says here is that you must ensure that the customers are aware of fraud prevention mechanisms, and you must do this both through audio and visual mechanisms. Essentially, if someone can't read, then they should be able to hear, they should be able to see how to prevent fraud. The next thing is awareness and access to redress and complaint handling. So this is the 5th point. So essentially, what this means is that they must be able to. You must ensure that your agents that are the middlemen between your products and the customers, that they're able to educate these customers on how their complaints can be addressed. They're able to adequately address the requests or the complaints that these consumers may have. Also, disclose information on consumer complaints, channels, resolutions, and service level agreements in products and enrollment materials. Now, the last one is monitoring and evaluation, and then there's a huge obligation here on digital financial services providers, which is that one, they must forward their strategies and performance measures to the CBN on a biannual basis. So first of all, they have to create strategies and also KPIs through which they're able to adjudge whether a product has been successful, the viability of a product, and then the strategies should also be submitted to CBN on a biannual basis. Secondly, there must be monthly returns on consumer awareness programs and initiatives. So it's not just something that the guideline is going to impose on you, but it's actually putting in place a reporting mechanism. So this is something that all DFIs need to look into, digital financial service providers, DFS need to look into, because they are going to have reporting obligations, which will be the biannual reports and the annual reports on consumer awareness initiatives. Thank you very much. This is an exposure guideline, like we said, so there's still room for comments and tweaking before the final guidelines are shared. So do let us know if there are any changes that you would like. We'll leave the link to the circular in our description box below. Thank you and see you next time.